They're going to use this video to hopefully step through how to use the tuner helper software, whatever you want to call it, that I put together. So just fire up the EXE after installed YAKtuner, and once that comes up, you'll get this pretty simple, straightforward prompt here. For the purposes of today, we'll say that we want to tune with the wastegate and the MAF, and we'll skip the plots. Just know that if you're doing anything more than like a few polls, logs, it's going to take forever. And the MAF really is only helpful if you're using that on a lot of data. So taking logs if you're just driving around, multiple polls, that type of thing. So not going to plot while we also log a ton of stuff there. I'll click this, even though I have everything set, just so we can show that stuff. It should be like a one and done type of thing. You set up once, and then you're good for it. And then we'll output the results to the CSV just so you guys see how that works. All right, go ahead and clicking through here. Just a minute. Big things here. These wastegate axis, the X and Y axis, should just be the same as your X and Y axis of either your feed forward tables, or if you're using simple wastegate, the values there, just type them in exactly like you have them here, and it takes care of the difference. Don't worry. Yeah. The big thing here is going to be these log names, since people name things differently. This is the kind of capability to have to adjust to that. So make sure that these match up. You don't have to do anything weird as far as entering them differently than they appear in your logs, so just copy paste them from your logs. But capitalization, spaces, units, all that stuff unfortunately matters. So go ahead and just copy paste these all in. A few that are interesting. This put I inhibit is totally optional, but you'll get much better results out of the wastegate tuner if you are logging that PID. The actual PID details should be on the README. And then the other two that I don't think people often log are going to be this MAF correction one. So you have to log that for the MAF to work. And then also engine state. Have to log that one as well. If you're just doing wastegate tuning, you can just leave the values there and not have them in your logs. It's fine. Alright, so the first thing it's going to ask is for the select log CSV files. So for me, go through my files here. I'm just going to select, let's say these ones, whatever. Select a few. You can click one or many. They just basically have to be in the same folder. And you go ahead and click open for those. And then it'll process those logs, combine them together. And then the next thing it's going to ask us is if we're using feed forward or simple wastegate. So essentially, normal flow factors, feed forward tables, or if we're using the simple wastegate. So go ahead and say flow factors for this. Put fudge factor is essentially how much it's going to bump up or down the wastegate based on how much you're off on the put versus put SP. 0.71 is kind of the agreed upon value. It equates to the same as the value that's given in the basics guide. So you can just pretty much go ahead and leave that usually. Minimum pedal, anything below this is not going to be factored into the wastegate tuning. Maximum put delta basically is a way, especially if you're not logging that I inhibit, to make sure that you're not having really bad results in there while it's either spool or just big transients and stuff like that. And then minimum boost, You set it to 0 so that you're not logging stuff when you're obviously off throttle or DV's open or something like that. But you can up that if you wanted to. But these values work, especially if you have inhibit logged. Click OK for that, and it'll run. This pops up. This is for the map, so I'll just move that out of the way for a second. But you get two tables. Normally you'd have VBO1 and 0. Since this is for my all track on the 1.8, I don't have anything for the 1, but in the 2, see the values here that it gave me. And these are what it's recommending for those cells. All the not numbers, it doesn't have any data to go off of. So, solid head work, use or don't use these numbers, and then smooth these areas in as necessary. Alright, so we'll go ahead and close that out. Now this is asking for our stock MAF standard table. What I mean by that is this global MAF standard table. In people's XCFs, it's usually one of 4. It's usually the first of the 4 is the one that you're actually using. So just went ahead and took that, and you copy it into a CSV file like this, where we have the axis matching what they are here, and then these values all filled in. So as long as I have that, then I have to just go and navigate to that CSV, select it, and then it's going to ask for these inputs here. Maximum confidence, basically this is if it decides that there's a statistical from the data that you feed it, there's a reason for it to change a cell, how much of that change do you want it to apply? If you fully trusted everything, you can go to 1. In fact, I probably would most of the time, but especially when you're just starting to feed it data, giving it the 75% confidence just basically says, okay, the program's decided that it has a certain amount of change that it wants to make, just go ahead and make only 75% of that. And then these minimum counts are in each one of these cells. If it only has 10 data points, it's just going to discard it and not even factor that in. And then basically here you're saying anything over 100% or 100 data counts in any of these cells, go ahead and give it the max confidence, which is this 0.75. So essentially 10 gets 0, 100 gets 0.75, and it's a linear scale between the two. Go ahead and click OK. Let it run for a while. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to make like a UI spinning wheel in MATLAB, so you just get to sit here and assume that it's still working. Hopefully it'll pop out here in a second. Obviously, the more data you feed it, the longer it takes. But with these math corrections, it's entirely a statistical thing. So feeding a lot of data is kind of the name of the game. Awesome. And then it'll output a chart like this. The green is areas where it decided that it had enough data to make a change based on what you fed it. And then the whites are areas where it either had no data or it didn't have enough good data to make a statistical basis for a change. But it doesn't matter because these white areas it just copied what was already there. So you don't need to worry about just copying the green cells. In fact, you could take this entire thing and copy it. Just a fair warning, if you copy from this table for whatever reason, Tuner Pro and MATLAB don't get along, and it won't copy the last row. So you just have to hand copy that last row, which for us would just be this cell, so that really isn't that bad. Last thing I wanted to show here is that since we said output the CSV files, it will go ahead and in whatever folder that we had our logs, it will go ahead and output the F standard results, VVL1, VVL0, and those are essentially the same tables that we just saw, except in a CSV saved, in case you close it out and forgot what you were doing. So then we can take those and copy them into Tuner Pro as we need. Awesome. Well, I hope that helps explain it a little bit, and I hope people find it useful.